high atop our basement studios, WTIT Tape Radio presents
A DJ's Take with Budweiser.
And now, here's Bud.
Good evening and welcome to it, our pilot episode of A DJ's Take. I'm Budweiser. I spent 20 plus years in radio, and as a boomer, I'm taking a look at music every week. We hope you enjoy this series, and please subscribe to the channel. So we will start our list of the top 10 R&B female singers of all time. Number 10, Donna Summer. She had huge hits like Love to Love You Babe, Hot Stuff, Bad Girls, and Last Dance. I was a disco DJ for years in the 70s. In fact, it's how I met my wife, who is the producer and director of this show. We didn't know each other or date during my years in the disco, and in fact, didn't have our first date until 35 years later. Number 9, Gloria Gaynor. I think all you need to know about Gloria Gaynor is her mammoth hit, I Will Survive. Cake, one of the great 90s alternative rock bands, did a very interesting cover, and if you like rock, I would urge you to listen to it. It's fun. I Will Survive was actually the B-side of the record that Gloria recorded. The A-side was a cover of a Righteous Brothers song called Substitute. The DJs in America discovered side B, and the rest, as we say, is history. Gloria won a Grammy for the song, Best Disco Song of the Year for the Grammys, and interestingly enough, it was the only year the category existed. Number 8, Mariah Carey, in our countdown of the top 10 female R&B singers. Biggest hits, Hero and One Sweet Day. She has spent 25 years in the recording industry and has sold 220 million records, or CDs, or MP3s. Interesting enough, she was named after the movie They Call the Wind Mariah. Her biggest interest growing up was in cosmetology. She went to school in New York after high school to become a cosmetologist. In her home, she always has a full hair salon where she can play and work around it. Kind of like a disc jockey having a radio studio after being on the radio. The piano in Mariah's house was once owned by Marilyn Monroe. It's a baby grand, it's all white, and she will not allow anyone to play it. If you saw Mariah Carey on American Idol and got to know her personality at all, you probably weren't really surprised at that. Number 7, Janet Jackson, the youngest of the 10 Jackson children. She didn't really hit the airwaves and have any success until two of Prince's people, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, took over producing her career. Growing up, she wanted to be a disc jockey. She has sold over 100 million records, and her very first crush was on Barry Manilow. Probably doomed, since Barry Manilow got married within the last month to another man. Her biggest hits, Nasty and When I Think of You. Number 6, Patti LaBelle. She was born Patricia Holt. She was originally in the band Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. One of her backup singers was Cindy Birdsong. She would leave the band when Florence Ballard from the Supremes was no longer able to perform. Patti LaBelle was so mad at this move that it took her 18 years before she spoke to Cindy again. Biggest hit, no doubt about it, Lady Marmalade. A huge record for Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. They also had Down the Aisle and You'll Never Walk Alone. In 1977, she began a solo career, and her biggest hit, If I Only Knew, Patti LaBelle, on WTIT's countdown of the top 10 female rhythm and blues singers of all time. Number 5, the late, great Whitney Houston, gone too soon at age 48, and of course married to Bobby Brown, and their history of drug abuse, well chronicled. But in some ways, no one was bigger than Whitney Houston because along with all her hit songs, she appeared in 8 films, probably the best known, Bodyguard. In 1985, her self-titled album, Whitney Houston, contained 7 #1 Billboard hits. Having 7 hits in a row broke the old record that was a tie between the Beatles in the 60s and the Bee Gees in the 70s. Number 4, Martha Reeves. Beginning her career as a backup singer with Marvin Gaye, she and the 2 other backup singers were asked to fill in for Mary Wells, who did not show for a recording session. They became Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. Biggest hits, Dancing in the Street, Love is Like a Heat Wave, Nowhere to Run. And I saw Martha Reeves at the Civic Center not that long ago, still singing with the Vandellas. Number 3, Tina Turner. Born Anna Mae Bullock, she got her start with Ike Turner, her husband of the time, had some mega hits including Proud Mary and River Deep Mountain High, which was produced by Phil Spector. Her life was chronicled in a movie that she wrote all the songs in the soundtrack for, What's Love Got to Do with It? And it was during the period in the 80s that she was incredibly hot. She sang the theme song to the movie and the only one on our list to do a Bond song, GoldenEye, during the 80s as well. Simply the Best, another one of her hits, is also the title of her greatest hits album. Number 2, Diana Ross. When her band auditioned for Berry Gordy, the music world would change. Not only did Berry Gordy sign the act to Motown Records, he also changed the lead singer. At the time, Mary Wilson was leading the band The Supremes, but Berry Gordy saw more in Diana Ross and made the change. Some say it had to do with their relationship. She would not have come in at number 2 on this list if that were the case. But they did have a daughter together, and her daughter did not find out her real father until she was 13. But she loves it, and everyone all her life told her that she looked just like Berry Gordy. Biggest hits with the Supremes, Baby Love, You Can't Hurry Love, You Keep Me Hanging On, my favorite, and Come See About Me. She had a lot of hits after the Supremes, one of the biggest, Touch Me in the Morning. Her biggest film, Lady Sings the Blues, she did a great job as Billie Holiday. She also played Dorothy in The Wiz, something I'm sure she and the rest of us would like to forget. That brings us to number 1 on WTIT's top female R&B singers of all time. Number 1, of course, is Aretha Franklin. She had 20 number 1 songs, including Chain of Fools, Baby I Love You, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, and the biggest of all, Respect. Aretha is noted for the only singer on our list to sing at not one, but two inaugurations. She sang for President Jimmy Carter at his inauguration, and she also sang at Bill Clinton's inauguration in the 90s. And that does it for our pilot episode of A DJ's Take. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel. We've enjoyed being with you. We hope you join us next time. And until then, same time, same YouTube channel. Peace and love.